We like to think that we have control over our lives, that we can plan out the next year, 5 years, and we know what's going to happen to us. However, that's not always the case. Take a seat and join me while I tell a story today about how a simple bike ride led to a series of unexpected events and a journey into the Healthcare Twilight Zone. Ha 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 ha. Hi, my name is John. I'm your healthcare hacker and the host of the Healthcare Twilight Zone. This episode is a continuation of stories that myself and my colleagues at Athos Health have experienced in the Healthcare Twilight Zone. Today's story is about a colleague, Colin. Colin is an avid bike rider. In fact, he was so good he was semi-pro in mountain biking not that long ago. About a year ago, he was out for a bike ride with a friend on a trail in Colorado, and something happened. He hit a rock. He went off the trail a little bit. Regardless, he had an accident, and he hit his head on a rock pretty severely. He knew he had to go to the emergency room because he was cut up pretty well in his face, as well as he was holding one of his front teeth in his hand. He'd been completely knocked out. Once he got to the emergency room, they did triage. They got the bleeding to stop. They put some stitches into his lips. They gave him some medicine for pain, but they couldn't fix his teeth. That was outside of their, I'll say, scope of skills. So they referred him to an oral surgeon, which Colin went to the next day. In the end, after a couple of visits, he ended up with getting an implant and a fake tooth to replace the one he had lost. So far, so good. However, when it came to the billing, Colin was going to enter the Healthcare Twilight Zone. The first clue was the first bill he got from this oral surgeon. They charged him $350 to remove a tooth. The problem was the tooth was already removed. Don't believe me? Here's a picture. It's in Colin's hand. He had lost it, and they just kind of stuck it up into his mouth. Yet the doctor charged $350 to remove it. It makes no sense. But not much does here in the Healthcare Twilight Zone. To make matters worse, the oral surgeon was out of network. The insurance company denied the claim because Colin didn't have out-of-network coverage. He was supposed to go to an in-network provider. Now, Colin begged, he pleaded, he said there was no in-network provider that was convenient for him. He lives in the mountains in Colorado. Insurance company didn't care. They said, yes, there is. There's one within 50 miles. You should have went there. This went back and forth as Colin appealed it, spending hours of his time trying to address what was thousands of dollars of bills for his repair of his tooth. Every appeal was denied, regardless of the facts. Colin had to eventually go to the state and involve them before it was finally overturned and the claim was allowed to be in network. Well, what was the issue? The issue was the insurance company couldn't read maps. Their policy stated that if a provider was in 50 miles of you that was in network, then you had to go there. And in fact, there was a provider within 50 miles of Colin. However, as I mentioned, he lived in Colorado, and it was on the other side of a mountain. And to get there required a 5-hour journey, which was not convenient, and the state agreed. But the insurance company could have easily saw this. They just looked at Google Maps. But they didn't. They had a rule. It was hard and fast, and they enforced it to the detriment of the individual. That's how things work in the Healthcare Twilight Zone. A provider can charge for something that really isn't done. Insurance company can have a policy which doesn't take geography into account. And in the end, there's no accountability. Who's accountable for these mistakes? Colin was going to have to pay for this, and a lot of people would. He had options, but so many people don't. And that's the scary part about the Healthcare Twilight Zone. If you like this video, please hit that like button below. And we'd love to hear from you and your stories from the Healthcare Twilight Zone. Leave them in the comments section. We'll share them. And finally, if you want to learn more about Athos Health and how we help employers and employees escape the Healthcare Twilight Zone, reach out to us. We're here to help. And as always, make sure you get the facts by joining me in the next episode of Healthcare Hacks.